Thank you for joining us on this edition of the show. One sector that many Nigerians are truly hoping becomes stable is the power sector. My guest today talks more on the importance of smart meters to the development of the industry. We have much more lined up for you right after now. I am Chukwemeka Agbata. Welcome to Tech Trends.
In the developed world, we are surrounded by electronics, from the computers on our desks, to the smartphones in our pockets, to the thermostats in our homes, to our data in the virtual cloud. In this small office space in Oregon is where Nigeria's IoT startup Grix is preferring cold chain solutions for the country's agri and health sector. Via a smart, portable and active cooling device, they engage in the transportation and storage of agricultural and healthcare products that are temperature sensitive. The founder, Ogenetega Iotim, first came up with the idea after an investment loss in agriculture. He sought to build a solution that works irrespective of the infrastructural challenges that exists in the cold chain market.
In 2015, myself alongside a couple of friends invested in agriculture and we lost heavily. And the major reason why we lost was because of a lack of cold chain to store the produce, right? And then I felt, okay, it was an important problem to solve. So once I researched, I saw that there were not available solutions on the market that were suitable for my needs, so I decided to build one. And that's when we built our first prototype, and then from there, we started making changes until where we are today.
Tega says after a series of iterations to his idea, like prototyping with a local gourd pot, they built the first model of the smart cold chain box in 2018. Materials were sourced locally and then they started operations.
Our first prototype was built in 2018, where we had to make use of local materials. And at first our solution was targeted towards the agricultural sector. But we also came to understand that we had constraints as a business as regards access to capital and the size of the technology that we could build. But we also saw verticals in healthcare space. The first place we saw was animal vaccines, right? And the solution that we had could work for animal vaccines. So we decided to, double down on that. And then we also saw another vertical, which was human healthcare, which is movement of temperature-controlled products for humans. And then, we built that as well. At that point, we saw that, okay, there was a big enough market. The problem spanned across multiple regions across the world. A lot of developing countries are having this problem. If you even take a look at sub-Saharan Africa, you see that for vaccination, you have 1 out of 5 infants that do not have access to vaccines, and it's largely due to cold chain. And within sub-Saharan Africa as well, you have about 200 million people who are undernourished. For varying factors, But the region produces enough food but doesn't store enough, So that was when we decided, okay, let's double down on this and then let's really solve this problem because it could be worth solving.
The smart cold box is like a mobile refrigerator. It has batteries powered by solar and is embedded with real-time storage temperature that can be controlled remotely via an app. A location monitoring technology is also fitted into the device to keep track of products at the point of pickup to their last destination in real time.
The challenges when you look at developing countries is lack of electricity. So you need something that works independent of the epileptic power supply. 2, you also want to ensure that, there's quality assurance, right? That means you want to be able to track the location of the refrigerated asset, as well as ensure that products that are in the asset, in the boxes, are kept at the right temperature. So that's the problem the boxes are built to solve. So they have their independent power sources, which is like an internal battery, which powers the refrigerators and also comes with an IoT feature, which is GSM enabled, which means that in some very hard to reach locations. You can actually tell what the temperature of the vaccines that are being stored are, where the location of the vaccine is as well at that point in time. So these are the two things. We've also implemented like solar options for the use of these products in very remote locations where you have no access to grid.
Having dealings in the healthcare sector, the startup pays very close attention to the transportation of products, so they built in features such as geofencing points of interest to ensure an immediate notification if and when the products go out of course, and proactive measures are taken.
Quality assurance is one key aspect which everybody in the pharmaceutical manufacturing and distribution side of the business are key on, right? And so that's why we built in the IoT feature, which is able to, basically inform users on where, products are, if they're excursions, sending out notifications immediately they're excursions, and that's a built-in feature that we've added into our boxes, but also developed a standalone solution called the Greek modes. With the modes, you're able to put that inside the coolers and ice packs, and also to be able to detect if, the cold chain has been broken or if the cold chain is being preserved, also reporting the information as regards location of where these temperature-controlled products are.
But this IoT startup didn't come this far without its peculiar trials.
Despite being an IoT company, our technology is heavily reliant on the hardware bit, and as you know, developing of hardware in Nigeria can really be tough. You have to import certain components, access to FX, depreciating value of the naira. We also did encounter some challenges around getting the right quality of people to build the kind of solution that you required, but eventually we did.
Grix started off by solving problems in the cold chain space of the agricultural sector, but soon discovered the solution could be spread across various platforms, especially healthcare. Latif Cherono is running another test on a surface mount technology line that is being set up at the Gearbox Hub in Nairobi, Kenya. In simple terms, SMTs print electrical components onto circuit boards. The boards will then end up as IoT devices that help manage the network of software, sensors and hardware in many modern products. Technological advancements like IoT, artificial intelligence, and robotics have disrupted industry and economics around the world. It's all part of the fourth industrial revolution. Cherono sees growth opportunities for sub-Saharan Africa within it, but not without a strong focus on electronics manufacturing. The SMT, a joint venture with global manufacturer Europacer that will enable businesses to have their boards manufactured in Kenya as opposed to China and India.
We are at a critical moment in time. I'd actually call it an inflection when it comes to electronics manufacturing. Kenya has certain things that have made this to be the right time. We look at our youth. We have a wide foundation of youth that are trained in electronics and mechatronics engineering. We have a wide range of youth trained in software engineering. We have mobile money in Kenya and East Africa is pervasive. It's everywhere.
Engineer Kamau Kajigi stopped teaching material science at a public university in 2014 to create Gearbox. Industrialization and manufacturing are estimated to contribute 10% to the East African country's GDP. The hub has been commissioned through a private sector partnership to train and launch around 30,000 technicians into the market, While public-private sector relations are a challenge, he says moves in recent years by the government, like training for the informal sector and the demarcation of special economic zones, have been encouraging. But issues like the tax regimes the zones will attract still need to be clarified.
This is something that now industry and government have to work together to refine so that you get the best overall policy structure for encouraging industrialization.
In the meantime, Gearbox is emphasizing to the IoT startups it's grooming the importance of focusing on the user's experience and how to protect their intellectual property rights before they manufacture anything on the new $750,000 in-house SMT.
When you're just manufacturing, you only retain 7% of the value of that product. So by enabling companies to do more of the design, manufacturing in Kenya or in Africa, and distribution in Africa, we get to retain more of that value on the continent.
The plan is to have a network of hubs or factories like around the region so that they can move their industrialization, training and manufacturing capacity into high gear in other areas like agriculture and medical innovation. Cherono, for example, turned to augmented reality and Zoom classes to assemble parts of the line with a technician under lockdown in the UK. Two robots roam this Singapore neighborhood, delivering groceries and parcels and turning heads of curious onlookers as they trundle their way to awaiting customers. Both called Camelo, are autonomous delivery robots created by local technology company Otso. They are given a helping hand to around 700 households in a residential area for a trial, 1-year period. They will bring shoppers items they've bought online from a nearby supermarket, as well as online shopping parcels at no extra cost.
So basically this is a fully autonomous robot. It will help to transport these groceries from point A to point B, in this case in Oasis Terrace Mall, to the housing estate that is just right next to me, about a kilometer away. And then we have a mobile app that enables the user to actually see when the robot is in transportation. It will actually send a notice to the user and they book a time slot. And once it arrives at their place, it will send a notification.
It makes it easier because I don't have to carry the load. I'm not talking just from myself. For example, the elderly could especially use it because they wouldn't have to carry stuff all the way to their home. It can get delivered. So I guess that's a very good concept to have, and I guess they're still having a trial session with this thing. So yeah, I feel like it would benefit a lot of people in that sense. It delivers right at your doorstep.
There's no fixed delivery schedule, and buyers can specify what time they want to receive their purchases. After the package is loaded into the robot, an application sends notifications when Camelo is on the way and about to reach the designated pickup point at the customer's lift lobby. It's equipped with 3D sensors, camera, and 2 internal weatherproof compartments each, which can carry a maximum 20 kg at once. The creators of Camelo say the growing interest in contactless transactions due to the coronavirus pandemic has been encouraging. Especially during this pandemic period, everybody is looking at, contactless, humanless, because in the robot itself, it has its own disinfection UVC light that we could do disinfection after every trip is being made by itself. Although it is autonomous, for the time being, staff accompany the robot as it makes its round to ensure it doesn't run into problems along the way. At the moment, the robots do 4 to 5 deliveries per day between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on weekdays and also on Saturday, which is a half day.
Coming up is my chat with Afolabi Sobande, CFO, CWG PLC. Stay with us.
Smart meters are small electronic devices that provide the ability to track and control energy consumption. A new norm in the power and utility industry that provides a more accurate billing of electricity consumed. Smart meters give electricity operators a clear view of their operational processes with only a few clicks. They also give users access to figures that allow them make efficient choices, like the ability to pay only for energy consumed or to know the equivalent currency of electricity consumption. Over the years, Nigeria has battled with the problem of achieving efficient generation and distribution of electricity, but gradually we have welcomed smart metering. Our guest on the show discusses how smart metering solutions can help increase efficiency while cutting down operational costs.
Afolabi, glad to have you on Tech Trends today.
Yeah, thanks, Fred.
So tell us how important it is to have a stable power industry for tech to thrive.
Thank you very much for that question. For most of the technologies that you have, you definitely need electricity or power to power from the mainframe computers to your PCs, and that is critical. You can't run a data center without power, so it is critical that if you don't have a data center, that is where all your technology infrastructure stays, and that is what enables technology. So if you don't have power, then technology is zero. And that is why we've seen that we've not been able to push some of these technologies through. And the technologies are not stable because there are no power to ensure that these infrastructures are up. Don't forget that these infrastructures that power the technology, which is like the backbone of any technology you would want to think of, has to be powered on 24/7, 365 days. And that is why you will also see that we don't have this big, massive infrastructure in this part of the world. You see people, the big tech companies going to countries where there are stable power to ensure that there is no interruption to power. A case in point is what happened just weeks back in Texas because of a snow. And you see that once power was out, the whole of Texas was brought down. Nothing was able to move. And that is just to show the essence of power and how it affects technology.
I mean, the power industry in Nigeria is somewhat complicated. So I really want to focus on the part that concerns the average guy. Tell us a bit about what a smart meter means and why it's important.
Thank you. Smart meter is just a device that helps you to be able to measure the electricity consumption, also voltage, power factor, and also currency that flows. Majorly for an average consumer or the end user, ability to measure what you have consumed is actually the challenge. Thus, the need for a smart meter. Without a smart meter, all the initiatives of governments to improve electricity may not work because that is where the challenge is. Ability for the discos to be able to measure what every consumer has actually consumed. So that's the reason why the market for smart meter is growing, not only in Nigeria, but everywhere in the world.
Okay, let's bring this to Nigeria. Would you consider smart metering as a solution to our many challenges in this all-important industry?
As a matter of fact, once we get the metering aspect of that industry right, then I would say that 90 to 95% of the problem will be solved. Holding generation constant and also distribution. But to the end user, I'm assuming here, we are able to generate enough and we are able to also distribute for the discos. Then the energy problem we are facing will have been solved 90-95%.
The data of those who have access to proper metering is rather low. What can we do to improve these numbers?
NEC, the regulatory body for that subsector, did an analysis just to see how many people have been metered. We are not talking about smart meters, just having meter in their houses. As at last year, there is a gap of 10 million houses or electricity consumers that are not metered. That is huge. By their statistics and calculation, they expect that all the 11 discos that we have should meter 1.7 million customers every year for about 10 years for them to be able to capture the metering gap. The 10 million is just the enumeration that they've done. Don't forget that there are new developments that are going on between the last time they collected that data and now. So you will expect that the gap is on the increase. Also, within that statistics was the areas that were not captured, that were not fully developed. The data majorly focused on urban, semi-urban areas. So by the time you are bringing in the core rural areas in, then you'll be expecting a metering gap in Nigeria between 15 and 20 million.
Afolabi, tell us, what is the market for smart meter like?
The market for smart meter is massive. For all the discos, they need smart meters for them to operate effectively and efficiently. So in terms of markets, know that all the discos would require, or they require, smart metering for their customers. Also for the private sector real estate developers, they also need smart meters. So it is massive. So smart metering is just like having your mobile phones. For every home, you have to have a smart meter for you to ensure that you are paying the right price for what you are consuming.
Finally, Afolabi, this issue about power is dear to my heart because, you know, being in this space, technology space, I understand its importance. And I know that a lot of startups, organizations of various types have always cried at the amount of money they spend on power. And, you know, the average Nigerian will wonder, when will Nigeria ever get to a point of adequate power supply? What will be your comment on that?
Yeah, thanks. I think for me, we are gradually getting there. The major problem with the industry is us not paying the fair price, and government is doing everything for consumers to pay the fair price. Once fair price are paid, it would allow people to invest in that sector, and that would make a lot of companies goes into generation, which is like the problem, because you know that you are able to recoup your investment. I think the actions of the government now is in the right direction, is the right step to take, as long as we are able to pay, consumers pay the right price for electricity. I think the electricity availability will be a thing of the past.
All right.
Non-availability will be a thing of the past, yeah.
All right, Afolabi, thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I have been chatting with Afolabi Sobande, CFO, CWG. As you've heard from him, the power sector can only thrive on the backbone of proper metering. Let's hope that the industry players are able to supply all customers with their own meters for the sanity of the industry. This is because the tech industry, as well as startups and small businesses, will continue to struggle without stable power supply. That's our show for today. Remember, we live on social media at Tech Trends TV. You can watch these and previous editions of the show on Channels TV, YouTube, or cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.